Well, another win. I'm not tired of winning yet. As a birthday present, I am, of course, renaming the Straits of Hormuz the Straits of Emanuel, a dedication to my UFC Hollywood super agent of 20 years that no one seems to talk about. Well, back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a biggie. Today's date is the 14th of June, 2026.
Welcome to this great video, my internet amigos. In the next hour, you will learn a lot about the Strait of Hormuz and how my Trump cult makes money by praising me no matter what I do. You will learn about Mike Pompeo and General Mattis and how they wrenched me away from my sugar daddy, Henry Kissinger. And most of all, you will learn about my Israeli intelligence handler and super agent, Emanuel. Let's get ready to rumble!
This is a big one. Promethean Action Group. You remember Rich Does Politics and how they had me on?
How does the City of London have a grip and profit from the current Iranian regime? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Hey, Brendon, thank you so much for making yourself available.
But apparently they got gigantic hard-ons for the likes of Vladimir Putin. You're taking on Mike Pompeo. Let me tell you what Mike Pompeo is and is not. I will tell you about General Mattis and their relationship with Trump. And we're going to talk about how I really agree with a lot of what Promethean Action Group say. But we're going to look at the history of good old Babs, Barbara, and of course Susan Kokinder, who's now very high up in the Republican Party when they were virtually Trotskyite, like almost University of Chicago Jewess. That's what I immediately thought of them, and that's their background. It's almost Marxist, their love for the Chinese Communist Party. Then in 2020, no, we no longer go with the Larochians. No. We are Trump. We're pro-Trump all the way. Boo, China. I'd like to know how you get from there to there, and I have spent all day going through transcripts of every video and the audacity of these people. But here's the problem. As we're seeing unfold in Iran, of course it's all damn well scripted. Duh. Of course now America dominates the energy channels into China, which is City of London, China, which also goes back into the EU, the Rothschilds, the Hofjuden. We need to go over people like Promethean Action. By looking at them and using them as an example, we can begin to see if you are willing to accept this big picture argument, which I said is a good thing, what's going on. Many things are very good. And I agree in principle with actually a lot of what they say. However, it's what they leave out, like, I don't know, paper ballots. Remember Trump and paper ballots? Remember COVID? And Operation Warp Speed and the vaccine, remember? I haven't seen Fauci or Gates in jail. Epstein, of course, and the Pentagon order, nothing to say, and they've got nothing to say on a whole range of things, including Pax Silica and the complete infiltration of US critical infrastructure, despite going after Israel and Likud. They talk Jabotinsky, they talk this city. I mean, it's all good. And then suddenly there's these giant holes like, I don't know, there's no Russia collusion. There's plenty of Russia collusion with Donald Trump and all his friends. Lev Leviath, Blood Diamonds, Chabad Lubavitch, Jared Kushner, Nathaniel Rothschild. All of this background is completely ignored by these very same intellectual powerhouses. With Tom Luongo, the Straussian free market man, and they're all praising all of this Pax Silica. They're all praising all of this AI being integrated. They're all praising all of this military spending, and you think, how do you go and do a complete 180 turn as if it's nothing? This is psychopathology. Narcissists get embarrassed because they worry about their public persona. Psychopaths don't care. They'll tell you anything as long as they get paid. And unfortunately, these people, including Rich Does Politics and his little friends he has on, are the perfect example of how we're going to get in a lot of trouble if people like this don't understand you're not given a chunk of the big picture while ignoring all the tactical points. We're not going to forget COVID. We're not going to forget Operation Warp Speed. We're not going to forget Chabad Lubavitch, Nathaniel Rothschild, and all the links in with the City of London. We're not going to forget all these small details. So while we praise all this, to think you are going to go after Mike Pompeo, I will show you what Mike Pompeo and General Mattis did. They got a hold of that orange clown by his stinking little corrupt neck, the failed drug money launderer, casino mogul, moron, who's a World Wrestling Federation run by the Rahm Emanuel sideshow. They got him by the scruff of his disgusting little throat, his disgusting Kissinger little throat, Kissinger's little boy, and they got him into line, and it was Mattis and Pompeo, the very people this clown show go after, who got it all in line, going after Russia, China, and as we see it flowing through in people like Marco Rubio, and people like even Peter Thiel's boyfriend, J.D. Vance, going after the EU.
The European Union's it was formed in order to screw the United States. I mean, look, let's be honest.
And that's great, because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger. No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration.
To see someone attacking Pompeo, of which you can attack on many different levels, to think you're going to attack Mike Pompeo while praising this stinking orange clown, not a freaking chance. Let us attend. It's important you understand this. And Candace Owens has sent me a video imploring me, Brendon, come with us. Let us attend.
In cyber is a real domain of power. In cyber is a real domain of power.
Oh, come on, Brendon. Join a team.
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Join I Hate Trump Like Me, or Promethean Action. I worship Trump no matter what. It's a dialectic, baby. That's how we make the moolah. Vladislav Surkov explained the game. Create and fund two polarized sides. Have them fight it out on divisive, approved issues, and fund both sides. Come on, Brendon. Heritage Foundation and cross-promotion await.
No, Candace, I shall not be joining your... That's AI, of course, but you get the point. Don't we, Babs? Don't we, Susan Kokindo? We get it. I understand that you need the cash, but at some stage you've got to make a bit of sense. But we're going to watch 5 minutes of Inside Man. We're going to watch 5 minutes, then we're going to go into the difference between MI5, MI6 and City of London. We're going to go into the difference between the British, even the British Crown, and City of London. We'll look at the unholy alliances of the Hofjuden, the court Jews of Europe, the noble families of Europe, and their intermixing, their Kabbalistic activities. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth I. We've been through it before. We're just going to mention it again and refer to original videos. And we need to understand that it is really important not to let these people get away with what they are getting away with. And these are just an example of hundreds of trust the plan morons who are going to get us all killed. There are things I really agree with these people. I agree with some very basic analysis, but the poison, the little leaven in the bread that destroys it all, could get us all killed. And there needs to be ramifications for this Heritage Foundation clown show who have tried to recruit me on numerous occasions that no, we're not going to forget about paper ballots. We're not going to forget about the Pentagon audit. We're not going to forget about Pax Silica. We're not going to forget about Israeli/City of London companies completely dominating all US critical infrastructure from top to bottom. We're not going to forget about 9/11, Susan Kokinder and Promethean Action Group and Rich Does Politics. Not forgetting about 9/11. And we know who Chris Berlin is. We're not forgetting a name you will never utter. We're not going to forget about any of that. And we're not going to forget about the collusion. Who? Kissinger. Putin. They go after Kissinger relentlessly. The Satanist, the asset of the crown corporate. Okay, you mean like Vladimir Putin, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum? To this day, they will not touch Putin. To this day. It's like sacred territory with Alex Krainer. It's important to understand why, and that these people need to be put up against the wall and shot. They need to be told. They need to fear. They don't fear anything. They're making too much money with heritage. It's good, and it's also really bad, and it could be really good. And I've got some news for you from Mary Silva, which we're also gonna touch on. But a word from JD Vance and Tucker Carlson.
Wow, what a show! Team America defeats the evil Persian hordes. China and the EU in the bag. Now we run their energy supply route. What say you, Tucker? You are so right, JD. The Ari Emanuel show must roll on lest a certain other issue get mentioned. Not to mention the complete takeover of U.S. critical infrastructure by Israeli companies. We don't want that in the news cycle. We sure hope they play nice. Regardless, let's get ready to rumble. Back to you, O'Connell.
Okay, I have permission to talk about this. And the date, by the way, is the 14th of June, of course. Mary Silva. Yes, Mary Silva. Someone no one is interested in talking to. Jeff Francis talked to her. Couldn't wait to have her on.
So my name is Mary Silva, and I am an audiologist. I am a mother. I am a Republican. And a real one or a fake one? A real one. I attend. So the media and the U.S. government have been deliberately keeping the truth from the American public. That's what I've gathered. That Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party have utterly betrayed the United States. They were front and center in conducting espionage against us to assist Russia and China. We need to face the fact that we are facing the greatest espionage scandal in history.
Blackbird, RBN, radio, we know all the limitations of these places, okay? But they're sincere. They're clearly sincere. I had a very good chat with Blackbird. That was, I really enjoyed it, actually. I'd like to chat some more with people. And he's got a very insightful audience that understand the right-left dialectic. They know who Bill Cooper is. They understand the occult practices. They understand the lodge. We know that a lot of Americans are in lodges. They're not evil. They're just very misinformed because, you know, you can't be a Christian because just remember this, I've spoken openly in the temple and in secret handshakes I have had none. Okay, so just remember that. So don't try to merge the lodge with Christianity and Jesus of Nazareth. Don't even try. If you're sneaking around doing secret handshakes and secret deals, you don't know Jesus. You have no idea who Jesus is, and you are nothing but a Pharisee working with the laws of men. But Mary Silva had a meeting with a low-end lackey of the Republican Party. He's saying to her, look, we see you in 2 years. That's your time. I'm paraphrasing. And she went after him on, I am not compromising on the vax. I am not compromising on Trump, his personality, and all the many ramifications of the Epstein stuff. And she said, I am not compromising on 9/11 Chris Berlin. She also gave that low-level lackey, and I'm going to not name his name, my 1,018 pages UN document, hard copy and electronic copy. And she said about 9/11 and Israel's involvement and all the other good stuff. You know what the guy said? This is a low-level but this is an organizer, okay? The guy said, he didn't say, are you insane? 19 Arab hijackers did 9/11, you crazy anti-Semite woman. You know what he said? Straight up, he went, oh, but they have nukes. So that's the narrative. They're telling everyone, we know Israel did 9/11, but they have nukes. That's what they're pushing. This is all they can come up with. This is excellent news. This is actually a bit of gold information for you. I promise. It's gold information. It's a low level, but it's not low level. It basically said you're not going to get any help from the Republican Party. Seattle, Washington State's a lost cause. And she said, oh, really? Oh, really? That's the way the Trump administration and Heritage Foundation feel about Seattle, Washington State, when there is ample opportunity to have a win in that state, without question. But you're going to have a hard time when you push that clown Trump out to the front. But I will tell you this, Mary Silva has them running scared. She's not backing down, and she's got more and more support by people up there in Seattle, Washington. People within the Republican Party are not happy, and she knows exactly the Christian evangelical, retarded, moron, crazy, lunatic movement that is running around stopping her getting endorsements. We got all their names. I get all your names. I get all the audio recordings, and I get your pictures as well, just so you know. Remember, people, don't worry about 350 million firearms. Worry about 30,000 active serving and engaged special forces are going to come to your house with beards and tattoos and black Suburbans to have a word with you, because I think people are going to have to realize that the party will be over eventually, and the shock you will experience when that happens will be just like Vladimir Putin in East Germany, as everything came tumbling down so fast. Nobody knew what was going on, and they couldn't burn the paperwork, the psychological profiling, who's a rat, who's not a rat, who's getting paid, whose bank accounts are full. Watch out. Charlie Kirk got it in the neck 2 weeks after I said people will get it in the neck. So if you want to take money from Heritage, and if you want to, trim the hedge and just, give this little narrative while forgetting all the rest, you are deeply underestimating the hatred personally for Donald J. Trump. You are deeply underestimating the intelligence of people, not just what you would call the radical Bill Cooper fringe, the old belligerent, stick to, never going to compromise. No. This is spreading everywhere, and I think you're very disconnected. And 9/11 is demanding. We want COVID justice, COVID vaccine justice. We want heads to roll, Epstein heads to roll. We want Pentagon audits, and above all, paper ballots. And nobody is going to forget that. And Mary Silva will not forget that, I promise you. She ain't going to forget. Let's now get back to the starting video before we get down into the nitty-gritty, the Mueller report, Russia collusion, and the cover-ups where people think they can only push the positive narrative. I agree with a lot of what this clown show is actually saying, and it grieves me. I'm not taking sides. I just want a balanced, fact-based approach. No one gets out of here alive. Mikey the Rapture Pompeo, or Zimpic Pompeo, does not get out of here alive. But they did more to stop the Trump lunacy under Kissinger and Associates, Gary Cohn of Goldman, and freaking Jared Kushner, did more to stop that than anybody. And you can criticize Mike Pompeo and Mattis till the cows come home on 50 different issues and 50 different associations. But do not go after Mattis and Pompeo claiming orange clown, scumbag, pedophile Trump, that piece of stinking, useless actor Ari Emanuel garbage. Is there anything else than a vile, stinking lump of garbage? And I'm trying to hold my language back. So if you're going to go after Pompeo, you better go after Trump. And of course, they're never going to go. Mattis and Pompeo got nothing to do with Lev Leviath, Chabad Lubavitch, Blood Diamonds, Russian oligarchs, Nathaniel Rothschild. But you boys have. MI6 and MI5 have been busting their balls after the City of London and the bank accounts of all the oligarchs.
Based on the novel by John le Carré.
You betrayed your country. Sure, give this to your MI6. Tell them you have a gift from the #1 money launderer from the Russian mafia. Never before have we had an informant this high up in Russian organized crime. British politicians, lawyers and bankers recruited by Russians here in London. British politicians, lawyers and bankers recruited by Russians here in London.
With her blunt statement, Mrs. Thatcher, or those who briefed her, pointedly referred to only a few others. In fact, MI5 files listed 35 eminent persons as Soviet agents. These people worked in the highest levels of British government, industry, academia, and so on. Many were interviewed by me, and a number of them either committed suicide or died mysteriously shortly after they became aware of my interest in them. In other words, there was good reason to suspect that the establishment was rotten to the core with Russian agents. I know this because of my investigations into the rings of influence spreading out from the Ring of Five. I was stopped in this because my investigations were embarrassing. Wright's secret testimony was not limited to generalized complaints about the failure to tackle Soviet penetration at all levels of British society and government. He also submitted a separate and even more closely guarded annex, revealing the identities of the 35 eminent persons who were suspected of being agents for Moscow, and giving a telling insight into the sorry history of further proven cases of treachery. In my dossier, I list all of the spies discovered between 1927 and 1982, which were publicly revealed. There have been 15 spies overtly discovered and prosecuted. 13 of those 15 were in departments of British intelligence. The rest of his redacted evidence was equally startling. Victor Rothschild had continued to work for MI5 and MI6 long after his notional retirement from intelligence work, and had run an agent in the heart of the Shah of Iran's administration on behalf of SIS until the early 1970s. That he occupied this extremely sensitive position at the same time as the security service was investigating his links to Blunt, Philby and the Ring of Five was bad enough. But it was remarkable that, as Wright testified, during my investigation of Soviet penetration, including the investigation of Hollis, I used to brief Victor regularly and in considerable detail, meeting with him at least once a month. This was done with the knowledge of Directors General Sir Martin Furnivall-Jones, Sir Roger Hollis, and Sir Michael Hanley.
Don't give me this crap. You think that just it's the British Crown. It's much more than the British Crown. And if the British Crown are so powerful, let me ask my simple question. Why the hell can't the Windsor Royals, not exactly my favourite people, why can't King Charles, because he rules the earth with the Jesuits apparently, is there any particular reason why he can't keep the scandals of the royals out of the damn Jewish media? Any reason? Is there any reason why the Vatican pedophile rings can't be covered up by the all-powerful Jesuit Vatican? Who's the only group you go to jail for? I know all about it. Check out my broken, busted arm.
A Perth man who posted an anti-Jewish video on the internet has been jailed for 3 years. The victim of the racist rant says the sentence isn't long enough.
This is the racist video that shocked Perth's Jewish community.
Your days are numbered, and we're going to rescue as many of your victim cult members as we can.
2 young Jewish men bullied relentlessly the 15-minute rant posted on YouTube.
You are racist, homicidal maniacs.
Today, the man responsible, Brendon OConnell, was jailed for 3 years after being convicted of race hate crimes. It's believed he's the first person in the state to be found guilty under new racial vilification laws. The judge described him as a bully who has an irrational hatred of Jews. One of the men victimised in the video says OConnell has made his life hell and that the sentence is inadequate.
Wish he was going for longer. I've been harassed continuously for the last 18 months.
But the jail term's been welcomed by the Jewish community.
I think it was a victory for decency and against bigotry and prejudice. On future occasions, it could be Muslims or Asians or any group, and so we should all be happy about this result.
There was extra security in the courtroom for the sentencing. After being told he would serve 3 years in jail, O'Connell yelled out, "That's a holiday camp compared to Gaza."
So don't you freaking dare, you disgusting Promethean action, simply, oh, Pompeo, Pompeo, when I'm going to show you stuff that'll make your skin crawl. There have to be consequences to the clown show, the trust the plan. Trump is a genius. Trump would not know his asshole from his elbow. He can't count. He can't read. He's a cunning, narcissistic, psychopathic rat that delivers his lines. He is a destructive force. His day is gone now. It's time for him to go. I don't care. Stairs, shotgun, falling out a window. It's time, because American public is not going to stand for this rat just walking away. No repercussions. COVID, paperless ballots, Pentagon audit, Pax Silica, explanation please. What else? What else? 9/11.
Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's not going away. There's these things are handled quietly when it comes to 9/11. No. 9/11. Chris Bolin. Until then, no peace. No peace. No justice, no peace. 2 million dead Arabs. 2 million Syria, Iraq, Gaza, Lebanon, Libya. Oh, did you non, baby? 3,000 dead Americans in 2 hours. 10,000 dead from breathing in the dust and all the other garbage. 48,000 American dead soldiers over 20 years. 130,000 seriously injured, permanently injured, head injured, suicided, and families broken up. Who did 9/11? Who is Chris Bolin? Hello, Promethean Action. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones. Who did 9/11? Not going away. All right, let's watch a bit of this video. Let's now listen in to Mumbles. Our LaRochian quasi-Marxist Trotskyite. We love China 2020. Oh, is it, yeah, China must go. Kissinger bad. Yeah. Oh, right. But, you know, all the other things we're going to look at. Listen up.
Mike Pompeo, the man many think was the most loyal cabinet member in President Trump's first term, revealed his true colors this week. On June 8th, Pompeo made a confession on X, professing his devotion to Alex Younger, the head of MI6, until September of 2020. Pompeo writes this: Younger flew to Langley to see me the day I was confirmed. We brought our 2 senior teams together in the UK to plan and coordinate and build in the first several weeks of my time on duty, making clear to them that all of this relationship was more than special. It was critical for the security of our 2 countries.
Yeah, that would be correct. That is correct. Very critical for the security of 2 companies. You've got an orange clown in the hands of Kissinger. Remember this image? Okay, do you remember this image in 2017 when the Russian freaking foreign minister Lavrov is sitting in the White House with Heinz Kissinger, ladies and gentlemen? I'd say the British and the Americans better get together real fast for the multipolar world order, Primakov Doctrine, Kissinger world order, which amazingly criticized Kissinger all day. You will not hear Promethean Action Group say the word multipolar world order. Good luck if you can find it. Ask him and Evgeny Primakov. These are intellectual, giant houses of intellectual incredibleness. And this... bad, again, the psychopaths, they have no shame. Narcissists have shame. They worry about their public image. These people, it's not a problem. They have a narrative and they're sticking to it. Listen to this. It's his Heritage Foundation.
Plan and coordinate in the first weeks of his time on duty with British intelligence. What were they planning?
In fact, MI5 files listed 35 eminent persons as Soviet agents. These people worked in the highest levels of British government, industry, academia, and so on.
Russian intelligence and Lavrov is completely fine, though. Isn't that right, mumbling Babs? I can't help but get this emotional. The audacity of this old hag. This old hag's audacity. We know you were LaRochians. You were screaming for 15 years your love for the Chinese Communist Party, the Belt and Road, down with America, US dollars going down, you're all going down. Suddenly 2020, we love it, all America, go America, go America. Sorry, we have memories and we can use Gemini to go over the transcripts of every video you put up. You're forgetting you have a past. That's why I get so emotional and think, why can't I do this? These people have come to me. It's Heritage Foundation. Come, let's do our narrative together. Rich does politics. Ask Rich does politics. Hey, Rich, Crypto Rich, what do you think of Trump? What do you think of Trump, Crypto Rich? Where are you, Crypto Rich? There I was on his channel twice. Rich does politics. What do you think of Donald Trump? He's a, quote, piece of shit, but you won't tell anyone, Crypto Rich. He's a piece of shit. That's your words. Shall I show the recording? Because every time we spoke, I recorded. Except when you gave some private information, I stopped recording. Dude, I think you're a nice guy, Crypto Rich. I really do. But you You're after the money, bro. It's not going to work out. I'm telling you, I'm going to be here doing okay. You guys are not. I promise you, if you don't stop. Your desperate need to belong to something and the Heritage Foundation and make money will not last. Let's continue to hear Barbara Boyd.
And what Mike Pompeo just posted on X, apparently as a tribute to a dead spy chief, is one of the most remarkable confessions in the entire history of the plot against Donald Trump. Today,
you mean to stop him selling out the entire country with Kissinger and Lavrov in the White House in 2017? You mean that? You mean there's no Russia collusion? We'll talk about that in a minute. So remember this. I want you to look at this. I want you to see their subscribers. I want you to see how well they're doing. It's like Candace and all these other people. See Heritage behind them. I tell you who else you're going to find behind them. You're going to find Cambridge Analytica. Yeah, and Rebecca Mercer. You're going to find a whole bunch of people behind, just like Tucker Carlson and his 27 staff, half of which are Fox News.
It's a dialectic, baby. That's how we make the moolah. Vladislav Surkov explained the game. Create and fund two polarized sides. Have them fight it out on divisive, approved issues, and fund both sides.
So much of the news this year has been hopeless, depressing, and above all, confusing. To which the only response is, oh dear. His aim is to undermine people's perception of the world, so they never know what is really happening. Surkov turned Russian politics into a bewildering, constantly changing piece of theatre. He sponsored all kinds of groups, from neo-Nazi skinheads to liberal human rights groups. He even backed parties that were opposed to President Putin. But the key thing was that Surkov then let it be known that this was what he was doing, which meant that no one was sure what was real or fake. As one journalist put it, it's a strategy of power that keeps any opposition constantly confused. A ceaseless shape-shifting that is unstoppable because it's indefinable.
Does it not strike you as very strange how these people are willing to go to such lengths to push Trump non-stop? And you think, what is it? What the hell is this? Let's discuss that.
I'm going to show you what Pompeo confessed to, why he did it, and what President Trump is actually doing about it. Not revenge, like the media claims, just sweet justice. Mike Pompeo just told...
That would be hard, seeing as Donald Trump has been a criminal informant for the FBI for 40 years. That would be hard considering the files they have on Trump that are this thick. His sexual innuendo with his daughter, his weirdness, his prostitutes, his never-ending love affair with Eastern Bloc GRU arranged prostitute wives like Melania arranged for him by Jeffrey Epstein. I'd say sweet justice ain't coming nowhere from Trump. I'd say Trump will just shut his stinking little orange mouth and do exactly what he's told. That's what I'd say. And endless Q-tard trust the plan suckholes to Trump are not going to come off too well.
Was something we didn't know before. Within hours of Trump naming him CIA director in November of 2016, he was coordinating with the head of MI6, Alex Younger. The London Guardian had already told us where the coup against Trump came from. In April 2017, they wrote that British spies were the ones who concocted the Russiagate lies.
I want you to remember this, the Russiagate lies, all right? We'll read the Mueller report.
And they hand-delivered them to John Brennan at the CIA in summer of 2016. And here is Richard Moore, the recently retired MI6 chief, describing what Younger, John Brennan, and Pompeo built together. Quote, Alex believed deeply in the Anglo-American intelligence partnership and worked closely with John Brennan, Mike Pompeo, and Gina Haspel during his tenure. Together with John, i.e. Brennan, he instituted annual gatherings of the senior leadership teams of both agencies.
Thank God. I hope you have a good alliance. Not convergence with the Soviet Union and Putin, the Russian Federation.
It was a subversion of the original intent then.
Oh, yeah, completely so. And that we got into the world traditionally of bankers and lawyers.
How do you see that the purpose and direction of the major foundations has changed over the years to the present? What is it today?
Whole 100% behind meeting the cost of education such as it is presented through the schools and colleges of the United States on the subject of our history has proven our original ideas to be no longer practical. The future belongs to a collectivistic concept, and there's just no disagreement on this.
Why do the foundations generously support communist causes in the United States?
Well, because to them, what communism represents a means of developing what we call a monopoly. That is, the organization, we'll say, of large-scale industry into an administrable unit.
Do they think that they will be one of the administrators?
They will be the beneficiaries of it, yes. And on arrival, after a few amenities, Mr. Gaither said, "Mr. Dodd, we've asked you to come up here today because we thought that possibly off the record you would tell us why the Congress is interested in the activities of foundations such as ourselves." And before I could think of how I would reply to that statement, Mr. Gaither then went on voluntarily and stated, he said, "Mr. Dodd, all of us that have a hand in the making of policies here have had experience either with the OSS during the war or the European Economic Administration after the war. We've had experience operating under directives, and these directives emanate and did emanate from the White House. Now we still operate under just such directives. Would you like to know what the substance of these directives is?" And I said, "Yes, Mr. Gaither, I'd like very much to know." Whereupon he made this statement to me, namely, "Mr. Dodd, we here operate on in response to similar directives, the substance of which is that we shall use our grant-making power so to alter life in the United States that it can be comfortably merged with the Soviet Union." Well, parenthetically, Mr. Griffin, I nearly fell off the chair.
Yeah, I want convergence with the UK and Europe, thanks. Any chance we can have that? Let's talk about it. I can't keep calm. I can't compete with these people. They've completely shut me out. And they're coming in. Come on, Brendon. Just stick with this narrative. Be positive. Paper ballots, COVID, vax, 9/11, Pentagon audit. We'll start there. We'll start there. And number 6, Epstein files.
On his way out the door, Richard Moore made an even more shocking claim that these annual gatherings had led the CIA and MI6 to becoming one firm, one entity.
I hope so. I hope so.
Dividing lines involving different national interests were effectively erased.
We do operations together. We will look at operational opportunities and we'll sometimes decide.
Plenty to read. It's linked below. Watch the whole 11 minutes 38. Now, while Promethean action have always gone after Kissinger, and it's great, I can actually count every time Kissinger is mentioned in every single video they have uploaded to YouTube. And they have consistently gone after Kissinger. But strangely, they've never mentioned this. They will use vague terms, City of London, the British Crown, the British Empire. But for some strange reason, I don't know, but every time I see Kissinger, I see Rothschild. I see Nathaniel Rothschild. I see Oleg Deripaska. I see Paul Manafort. I see Roger Stone. I see Bill Kristol. I look back at Irving Kristol. I look back at the NXIVM cult and Roger Stone. I see the links with Roger Stone and General Jim Jones in the Shadowgate series. I see all of these linkages, but they don't. They don't see that picture. They don't see that picture. It's not front and center in their analysis, and you'd think it would be. Because if you're going to go on about Kissinger all day, I find it strange you're getting worried that Mike Pompeo is very worried, along with General Mattis and the Secret Intelligence Service of the UK, which is not one entity, right? They are penetrated by the City of London, Remember, it was MI5, MI6 people that were complaining. Remember Peter Wright? Spycatcher, half the British establishment were in bed with the Soviet Union under Rothschild, Victor Rothschild. Maybe they'll mention that aspect, do you think? Maybe they'll mention that. So when we say MI5, MI6, CIA, FBI, it's elements of those institutions. They are penetrated by that City of London, Hoofjuden, EU cartel, born to rule. So when I see Kissinger, of which they have gone after viciously, congratulations, along with Steve Bannon, of course, you know, he quits every time he gets caught on Miles Gow's yacht doing cocaine and hookers with Miles Gow. That's why, you know, that's why he was dragged off that yacht and charged. The charge is very spurious, that build the wall stuff with Steve Bannon. You know why he was rammed off that yacht by the FBI? Do you know why? Because Miles Gow's got him on camera doing coke and freaking hookers, that drunken clown. I notice he's cleaned up his act a lot, but he's so boring now. People have said we can't watch him anymore. He doesn't say anything particularly interesting at all. And I mean at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. But you're going to go after Kissinger, Promethean action. Am I correct? Kissinger, boo! Howdy, howdy. Who's that? It's the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lazarev. He's just fired Comey the day before. That horrible, corrupt man. Oh my God, James Comey. You mean the one that caught you front and center, actually got you in by going after Hillary Clinton? You mean the one that when you got him in front of each other at the White House with no one else around, you ordered Mike Pence out? And then you said, I need loyalty. And he said, what the hell? This is hard. You could not be any more out of line than for a president to tell the head of the FBI, I need loyalty. And the day after hiring Comey, which he was advised not to do, but he was told by Gary Cohn and Jared Kushner and Kissinger to fire him. Because look who's there. That's the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. There's no Russia collusion. I fired James Comey, who's investigating and exposing all your Russia collusion. And we're not talking the Steele dossier, which everyone agreed was just garbage. We're not talking about that. And then the next day, you've got the Russian foreign minister in the freaking White House. But wait, it gets better. Who else is in the freaking White House on the same day, the day after Comey's firing, with Trump doing his little, you notice he doesn't do that as much now? Someone must have said to him, oh, please stop doing your Illuminati upside down triangle, please. You know, they all do it, including, you know, Tate, Andrew Tate, the rapist, literal sex trafficker, admitted. No one goes after him. It's amazing. They're all after Trump. They're all after Tate, and it just all just stops dead. On the same, there is no Russia collusion. There's your boy, Babs Mumbles. There's your boy, Susan Kokinder. There's your boy, Tom Luongo, Crypto Rich, and your clown show. There's your boy with Heinz Kissinger, your arch enemy of all time. Isn't that a little strong? Why have contradictions? No, because the money, mucho dinero. Isn't that right, Candace? Thank you. Think about the audacity of these people. There's no Russia collusion, says Jared Kushner, says Gary Cohn of Goldman Sachs, says Heinz Kissinger. Oh, yes, indeedy, ladies and gents. There's no Russia collusion. No, that, you know, there's Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. It was just, they met in the hallway. He was on his way to get a bag of crisps from the White House press room. Donald, what are you doing in the White House? I'm in the White House. I mean, Kissinger's here. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Babs, Susan, where are you? I just want you to savor that. There's no Russia collusion. The day after firing Comey, you've got the Russian foreign minister and Heinz Kissinger himself in the White House, in the same room. But there's no Russia collusion, and you're going after Mike Pompeo as a traitor? Are you sure about that? Because it was Mike Pompeo got the scruff of the neck of that piece of garbage there, Donald Epstein Trump, got him by the scruff of his throat and dragged him away from that whole stinking Michael Flynn, stinking Bannon, Alexander Dugin meeting in Rome crowd, right there in the Mueller report. Let's keep going. Now that we've established that orange stinking clown's credentials and the absolute hypocrisy of that whole Promethean action grifting scumbag crowd, the old LaRochian Marxists literally, paper ballots, 9/11, Pentagon audit, 2008 Wall Street justice, COVID justice, vaccine justice. Anybody? Anybody over there at Promethean Action? No, we'll just stick with the narrative. But look at this evil traitor, Mike Pompeo. 15th of June 2020. In address to American Jews, Pompeo urges Israel to stand with US against China. Oh, but you are all for China, Promethean Action Group. For 20 plus years, boo America, multipolar world order, down with the US dollar. Finally, the wonderful sovereign nations of Vladimir Putin, best friends with Klaus Schwab for 32 years. 32 years. Klaus, young global leader. We penetrate the cabinet. Angela Merkel. Tulsi Gabbard, young global leader. Joe Kent, Heather Kaiser, his second wife, Army Intelligence. She's with the ultra-leftist Grey Zone. There's nothing to see here. Tulsi Gabbard, they've got biolabs in Ukraine. Did you know she had Kyiv 500 miles south of its location? Did you know that? Did you know there were 3 cities on her little map that didn't even exist? You do realize that in Ukraine they had some of the best bacteria and viral warfare specialists in the world. And after 1992, America said, we better give them a job and we better give them a paycheck, lest they roam free and start, giving it to Saddam Hussein. But they push that garbage narrative. Who benefits from that? Who? What is the hard-on for Vladimir Putin? The only convergence I want to see is the convergence of the UK and Europe with the United States, free of the stinking parasite. How about you, Susan Kokinder and Babs Mumbles of the Promethean Action Group? Your cat got your tongue on Israel these days. Man, you couldn't stop talking about Zeev Jabotinsky, the fascist. Boy, whenever I hear someone say fascist, my ears prick up. Which side of the fence are you sitting on again? Suddenly nothing to say. Putin doing trade deals for the Eurasian Economic Union with Netanyahu and Xi? Well, they've got nothing to say. That's not interesting. Putin's a man god. What is this hard-on you all have for this man? It's Kissinger's boy. What intellectual backflips you do. Every 5 minutes, I've got every single quote from every single video you have ever made since 2020. Kissinger is the walking epitome of the satanic crown corporate British Empire elite. Okay. Vladimir Putin, we love him. Okay. Have you seen him call him virtually his father, his mentor? Have you seen that? We're going to remind people who this all is. Remember how you loved Xi Jinping and you loved the Belt and Road? Do you remember Promethean Action Group? We had memories. We have Gemini to go through your entire transcripts blow by blow. We love the CCP. We love the multipolar world order. The BRICS rocks. Death to the US dollar. Suddenly, about turn. What's your grift? What is your grift? What's your grift, Promethean Action Group? Machiavellian German refugee Kissinger shaped US policy with Jewish philosophy. What's your grift, Promethean Action Group? There's your boy. Look at him. There he is. There's Papa. There's Papa Bear. Kissinger. Hello. Strangely silent. There's no Russia collusion. Pompeo's a traitor. I lose my, look at me, I'm like, how do they do it? I want to be able to do it. I want to make money too. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm 55, I got nothing, man. I got cheesecake, I got a 5070 Ti with 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and I can play with Lee Levino's personal models of people on the AI video rendering. Oh, how do I get on this grift? Why can't I just shut my mouth and go, Trump's wonderful? Why can't I do it? How do you do it? Because you are psychopaths with no shame. I don't think the average person realizes what psychopaths they all are. That whole mob, that whole stinking mob, just willing to lie to your face without a slightest, no blushing whatsoever. No blushing. Total fragmented cognitive psychopathology of their grand narrative, which is so full of holes you could sink a ship in 3 seconds, and they've got no problem with it. They can look and we're giving you the analysis. And they do it with a straight face. They'd be embarrassed. They're not embarrassed, because that is true psychopathology. A narcissist is very worried about their public persona. The psychopath isn't. The psychopath will do anything and say anything. That's the gaslighter that slaps you in the face and says, I never slapped you in the face. That's gaslighting. You know who does that? Our traditional enemy. They love doing that to Goy. So you got to wonder about these people up there in the northeast, don't we? There's the evil, traitorous Mike Pompeo. In address to American Jews, Pompeo urges Israel to stand with the US against China. But wait, there's more. Pompeo says Israel's ties with China endanger security cooperation with the US. That's a full year before Susan Kokinder and Babs and the Promethean Action Group worked it out. Who's the traitor again? Who's in bed with Russia? There's no Russia collusion? Pompeo warns US could curb security ties with Israel over China relations. Oh, do you remember your beautiful China in bed with your sworn enemy, Likud? The Jabotinsky Likud, Netanyahu? Remember? You had nothing to say. How strange. How strange. My impassioned pleas for sanity. You're worse than Q Trust the Plan grifter scum. You will say anything for cash. I can't do it. I'm jealous. I want to be able to do it. I want my toys. I want a 5090 NVIDIA card with 32 gig of VRAM. Only $4,000. Why can't I just sell out and make some money? Look at that filthy beast Pompeo. Pompeo alleges Haley plotted with Kushner and Ivanka Trump to try to become vice president. Oh, that filthy traitorous Mike Pompeo. You know, Jared Kushner, Gary Cohn, Kissinger, Goldman Sachs. You remember those people? It's a war between the Jews and the non-Jews. Babs, Susan Kokinder, do you recall? See, you're fine. Nobody's going to see my videos, so you're safe. Heritage got it all down pat. Wonder if they'll send another emissary one day to ask if I'll sell out and suck their privates. No, I'll never do it. But you know what? Mary Silva has got them by the balls and they're running scared. From the same article, I paid a military security price every day as the commander of CENTCOM because the Americans were seen as biased in support of Israel, and that moderates, all the moderate Arabs who wanted to be with us because they can't come out publicly in support of people who don't show respect for the Arab Palestinians. End quote. General Mad Dog Madison. Where was Trump? Oh, he's fighting Bibi. No, Bibi's doing exactly what he's told. How many dead Gazans? Mattis said in 2013 at the Aspen Security Forum in Colorado, of all places. The world is truly a complicated place. In the White Hat Brigade Promethean Action Group, Trump the Savior's here to save us. Mattis unveils new strategy focused on Russia and China, takes Congress to task for budget impasse. I guess he's gone after Russia. He must be a traitor. As Trump and Mattis clash in public, officials question how long he'll last at the Pentagon. 2018. Yeah, because he said, will you stop slurping on Bibi's penis, please? Does President Trump still listen to Mattis? Reports say no. 2018. Of course he doesn't. Because he kept telling, if you keep slurping on Bibi's penis, We're going to have a lot of trouble trying to get anything done in the Middle East, and Russia and China are moving in. And Trump went, but that's what my good friend Heinz Kissinger told me what to do. I was just with him in the White House with Lavrov less than a year before. Babs, Susan Kokinder, Tom Luongo, Alex Grainer. Oh, you people, you just... Right, let's do a quick summary. They've got Chatham House down. They've got the Royal Institute for International Affairs. They've got Heinz Kissinger. But funnily enough, they keep telling us that there's no Russia collusion. That traitor Pompeo, how dare he? But we need a few quotes from the Mueller report. You can download the Mueller report. In fact, I'll leave a link to it below. And you go just Control F, Israel, and go and have a good read. So there's the Mueller report. We'll just do a quick Control F and we'll type Israel. What do we got here? We have 52 Israel things, but I've done a quick extract for the best bits. You ready? Just a very quick extract. There's no Russia collusion. No, we just sit in the White House with Lavrov and Kissinger. The multipolar world order, Yevgeny Primakov. Dugan met with Steve Bannon. That's the Aleister Crowley Satanist, the son of a Russian GRU military intelligence general, Alexander Dugan. Dugan met with Steve Bannon in Rome in 2018. Bannon claimed that the meeting in 2018 was their first interaction and that the 2016 US election was not discussed. Now, look, it's okay, Steve. You can meet someone in Rome. You didn't know who Dugan is, but a shame you don't explain yourself, especially you're meeting an Aleister Crowley Satanist devotee who just happens to be the son of a Russian GRU general. I'd say that's probably a little bit sus, bro. So this is about the GRU, Russian military intelligence, and the Guccifer 2, and the phone numbers in Israel, links with Psy Group, and a whole range of issues we can see there. There's no Russia collusion there. Absolutely not. So WikiLeaks has passed information to US adversaries, including approximately 90,000 US Department of State cables to a Russian national named Israel Shamir. I used to like Israel Shamir. Very anti-Israel. But how strange that none of them can seem to tell me about Pax Silica. They can't seem to tell me about Israel and high technology. Israel Shamir's got nothing much to say about Israel doing 9/11. They're all kind of anti-Israel, but it's almost as if they're just trying to break off US public opinion from Israel so that their City of London masters, their EU masters, can then let China and Russia in there. Because, you know, we can go over all those articles, can't we, about China and Russia moving into the Middle East and the multipolar world order and the US shrinking back, can't we? A former colleague of Assange has described his work as a one-dimensional confrontation with the USA, reflect his ambition to bring down the United States with leaks. Not bring down Israel, not bring down the City of London, not bring down Kissinger's boy, Vladimir Putin. No, he wants to bring down the United States. Oh, okay. How interesting. How interesting. It's like his friend Snowden ends up in Russia. I'm worried about freedom. I'm worried about democracy. I'm worried about the surveillance state. So I'm going to run to the #1 violator of human rights in the world, Russia, where if you don't say the right things, you get a bullet in your head out the front of the Kremlin. And Vladimir Putin laughed when they said the cameras were turned off. That's where you run to when you're talking freedom and democracy. Isn't that right, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden? The Russian government has pursued a relationship with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks that includes formal partnerships with state-owned media platforms, government assistance for WikiLeaks, associates and sources, and information sharing. This relationship has existed since at least 2012 and reflects an alignment between the Russian government and WikiLeaks in seeking to undermine US institutions and security. There's RT signing a contract with good old Assange. On April the 5th, 2016, Farah sent an email to Papadopoulos in which he wrote, quote, "Let's think about how to engage your Arab and Mideast contacts either in London or in DC." What's he meeting in London for? That's Papadopoulos. That's the good friends, the great guy. Isn't that right, Babs and Susan Kokinder and Promethean Action? Papadopoulos was set up by the horrible CIA and horrible Mike Pompeo. Poor Papadopoulos. But they're all meeting in London. Or in DC. Papadopoulos replied from Tel Aviv, Israel, your sworn enemy. And of course the Russians, as I mentioned during our meeting. Oh, you mean Kissinger's boy. The US and Russia must work to counter Chinese expansionism in Asia and the Middle East. Therefore, a policy of isolating Russia is not sustainable. Well, I'm sorry, both of these people are totally dependent on Western technology, so why don't you just stop selling them Western technology? Oh, you can't because China completely dominates most of your trinkets and your supply chain, and you're really FUCKED. Well, who did that? Oh, that would be Heinz Kissinger, Putin's best buddy. Davos, Klaus Schwab. You remember Gerhard Schroeder on the board of Rothschild, Evelyn and David de Rothschild? Best buddies with Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin. There's nothing to see here. It's one picture, says Alex Craner. Man, you can't even, how could you even be like these people? The money must be so good. I was recently hosted by the Israeli government. This is Papadopoulos, I think. And I delivered a talk at this is Papadopoulos, Energy and Security Conference there. They are ready to host Mr. Trump. There's no Russia collusion, Mr. Trump, when the time is right for him, and have also invited him to a big conference, the largest newspaper there is hosting in July, that Netanyahu will also be speaking at. Hey, that's Promethean Action Group's biggest enemy ever. Zeeb Jabotinsky, Likud, boo. City of London, boo. The Russian government has an open invitation by Putin for Mr. Trump to meet him when he is ready as well. The advantage of being in London, Londongrad, the sworn enemy of Promethean Action Group, is that these governments tend to speak a bit more openly in neutral cities. Wow. Isn't that your sworn enemy, Promethean Action Group? Do you remember this from Mr. Papadopoulos? Do you remember this? It's just a small Jewish journal called The Times of Israel. Yeah, just a small one. All right, from 2020, FBI source in Russia probe called Israelis effing spies who should be killed. DOJ releases transcript of source speaking with George Papadopoulos, who was probed by Mueller over his ties to Israel, which includes reference to the, quote, Mossad fake Russian Jews. Gosh, what's that about, you intellectual powerhouse Promethean Action Group? What's that about? What could that be about, you geniuses, you intellectuals who have the truth? Oh, you shall spare no expense. Let's now listen to Ehud Barak in a private conversation with Jeffrey Epstein, shall we, about Russia and Israel. You know your sworn enemy Israel? You are just sworn to its destruction. But there they are with Vlad, arm in arm with your sworn enemy, Heinz Kissinger. How does this work? I'm dying to know your intellectual discourse in your head, your cognitive dissonance in your head, but the pay's good. I thought this was an email. It's not an email. This is the literal recording of Ehud Barak saying we got to get as many of these Russian aeronautical engineers, high technology technicians, all this stuff into the country because we need the right people with fair skin, preferably. He doesn't want the Levant. He doesn't want Moroccan Jews. He says outright, we don't want Arab Jews. We don't want Moroccan Jews. We don't want North African Jews. Bleh. We want nice, white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed electrical engineering degrees. Oh, okay, the Jewish state, now filled with Russian GRU assets. But let's just very, very quickly read that London Guardian article. This is the article from 2017. 2015. Israel's former Soviet immigrants transform adopted country. Russian-speaking Jews who arrived over the past 20 years have integrated little but influenced everything from culture to politics. The million-plus citizens of the former Soviet Union who migrated to Israel in the past 20 years have not only made new lives of their own, but they have transformed their adopted country. They have influenced the culture, high-tech industry, language, education, and perhaps most significantly, Israeli politics. And that's from The Guardian, that is based on a book, The Million That Changed the Middle East by Lily Galili. And this is the key. Once you understand Silica, all the Israeli companies, they're all filled with Russian GRU assets. They're all through Israel and they're all through the United States. And it's Israeli press and Israeli/Jews have been exposing this. We're not sure where Promethean Action Group, those good goys are. Where are those good goys? Those pro-America goys, where are they? Well, Silica has never passed their lips. AI. No, it's wonderful. It's all good. It has the potential for a lot of good, but it's all good. No, I think there's a lot of problems with this emerging AI, autonomous killing machines, don't you? No, it's wonderful. Trump's a genius. Back to Ehud.
I believe we have to break the monopoly of the Orthodox rabbinate on marriage and funerals and whatever, and the definition of a Jew.
And the definition of a Jew, it's so fluid. What's a Jew? Well, if you're useful, you're a Jew. Did you look at a synagogue once? Do you have an electrical engineering degree? You're in, baby. You're a Jew now. There's no Jews. There's no Jewish race. There's no Jewish ethnicity. It's just whatever you want to do this week. Whatever you want this week. Are you useful? Are you not?
And accept, open, in a sophisticated, subtle manner, open the gates for massive conversion into Judaism. It's a successful country. Many will apply at the beginning without making it. You cannot make it a precondition, but...
The Jews are geniuses. Where are all the Jewish geniuses? Oh, they're all Slav, trained in the hard sciences during the Soviet era, nuclear physicists and electrical engineering degrees and aeronautical engineers and missile technicians. But where's all these genius Jews? Where are they? I thought they were everywhere.
Under the social pressure, the need...
Well, they're all in the United States and they don't want to leave, and that's a problem. That's why they like to create lots of Jew hatred, don't they, Tucker? That's why Tucker works for the Jews and so does Candace. They just go, boo the Jews. They won't tell me who did 9/11. Where are the indictments? Fauci's not in jail. Where's the paperless ballots? Well, Candace hasn't got time to talk about that. She's telling me about Charlie Kirk's underpants, and she just remembered that she went to Tucker's house and Tucker loves Erica. She's saying Tucker loves Erica. I'm just going, what's going on? Oh, I forgot after the birth of my son that, Tucker did tell me that he loved Erica, and Erica was very anti-Israel. I believe she's a psychopath. And you think, where are these crazy psychopaths going? Well, you're not meant to know. They're psychopaths. Boo the Jews. Okay, anything? Reverend Ted Pike's coming on, Candace, Tucker? How about Michael Hoffman, revisionist history? He knows a lot about Judaism and Pharisaism and what's a Karaite Jew, Old Testament Jew. Yeah, let's go. No, we're just going to go, boo the Jews. Move on to the next subject. Run you in circles. And the homosexual boyfriend's daddy is best friends with Jimmy Goldsmith and the whole Rupert Murdoch, Rothschild crowd. It's all going to fall apart. Let's get back to Ehud Barak. It's a couple of minutes.
Especially of the second generation to adapt. It will happen. And we can control the quality much more effectively than our ancestors or become the founding fathers of Israel did with the wave, that it was a kind of salvation wave from North Africa.
No North Africans. Nah, brown-skinned Jews, please. Nah.
Arabs from whatever. They took whatever came just to save people. So now we can be selective. And I think that with much more open kind of mind about turning Jew, we can easily absorb another million. I have to tell Putin always what
I have to tell Putin always.
We need is not just
we need another million.
One more million. It changed Israel in a dramatic manner.
Oh, you better do.
The million Russians. And I think that many will prefer to be Belarusian, or many young handsome girls will come.
Whoa.
Tall, thin.
We're all thin because we've got a bit of inbreeding, and I'm not being nasty. That's a fact. I've been told by Jews themselves. It's why they've got the running Victoria's Secrets are trying to improve their genetics after all the inbreeding in the shuttles, because whenever they were tried to be liberated, in would come the rabbis and tell the king, no, give us control of the shuttles. We want everyone held in together. We'll tax them. We'll give you a share of the tax. Let us control the shuttles. Let us control the ghettos. And that's why you have so much inbreeding and cousin mating with cousins. That's what happens. You will definitely never mention these are intellectuals. They don't know what Pax Silica is. I've checked all their transcripts. Doesn't leave their lips. But they will say, oh, it's wonderful. It's going to do all this stuff. That definitely has the potential to do that. But to say, oh, isn't it great? And to hear Tom Luongo, the Straussian free market economist, look at all this merging of the state. And, you know, Intel Corporation's given a huge chunk of its stuff over to the government, which is the taxpayers of America. I love these free market people. They wouldn't last 10 seconds in a free market. They can't live without a socialist taxpayer handout. Come on, the $1.5 trillion and growing Pentagon budget. Look at that handout, that socialist handout. You must be all against that. No, it's wonderful. So we have the opportunistic rebrand. This is the LaRoche faction. LaRoche did brilliant stuff. Let's face it, he did some brilliant work in the old days before he was arrested. Who's who in the Pollard case? This is world-class stuff. EIR. World-class stuff. Pollard Soviet ties revealed by media. Jeffrey Steinberg. World-class stuff. Israeli spies. Mega was not an agent. Mega was the boss. That is the #1 article, 1986. It's brilliant. Israel spy scandal too big to bury. Those were the days when LaRoche was relevant in the early 80s, mid-80s. Then he got arrested for basically tax evasion and fraud and got 14 years jail. Suddenly LaRoche came out and said, Prince Philip is running it all. Yeah, the people that can't keep royal scandals out of the Jewish-controlled press. The Vatican! Oh, it's the Anglo-Dutch generality now. Oh, okay. China's wonderful. Those were great articles in the day. See, now the reality. The blackout. Promethean action completely conceals its own ideological roots as a fractured offshoot of the Lyndon LaRoche movement. You got to look at that whole history. He was in deep with Marxists and all sorts of Trotskyite movements in the day. Some people said, oh, he was working for the government infiltrating. I don't know, I prefer to keep my politics simple, but whatever. The reality, following LaRoche's death, Kokinda Boyd and the US PAC leadership staged a mutiny against his widow Helga Zapp LaRoche and the International Schiller Institute. They dumped the movement's lifelong defense of China's Belt and Road Initiative because they realized that echoing pro-Beijing talking points would instantly bankrupt them within the highly lucrative, fiercely anti-China American MAGA ecosystem. Sanitizing Kissinger's global network. The blackout, they focus on Henry Kissinger strictly as a safe, abstract, satanic British agent to hook their audience with an anti-establishment boogeyman. The reality, they completely erase the undeniable fact that the modern multipolar world order they champion was Kissinger's ultimate masterpiece. They hide that Kissinger acted as a primary Western handler and father figure for Vladimir Putin via Russian intelligence chief Yevgeny Primakov, and maintained a multi-generational pipeline with Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping. But Promethean action got short memories. The Russia-Israel axis, they got nothing to say as they refused to address documented facts, such as Putin explicitly declaring Israel a Russian-speaking country, or the reality that Israel and Iran, supposed existential enemies, simultaneously negotiated entry into the exact same Moscow-led Eurasian Free Trade Zone. They completely buried the Matrokin archive data showing decades of deep Soviet KGB, SVR, and GRU penetration into the highest echelons of Israel's military high command, tech infrastructure, and political parties. The Ehud Barak Jeffrey Epstein audio leak. They will never mention the explosive, unredacted Department of Justice file leaks from early 2026 containing a secret 3-hour audio recording of former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein. The reality, on the tape, Barak lays out a blunt, highly transactional demographic strategy to bypass religious authorities and systematically import 1 million highly qualified Russian immigrants. Barak explicitly states this plan to use strict quality control to selectively funnel this post-Soviet generation directly into Israel's military units and high technology infrastructure pipelines. And now they're all through the United States. Well done. The Mueller report. Promethean Action loops standard talking points, framing the Mueller report strictly as a one-dimensional Russiagate coup run by Obama and British spies holding its actual counterintelligence contacts. Pompeo, that traitor. But Trump hanging with Lavrov, there's no Russia collusion in the White House with Heinz Kissinger, Jared Kushner, it's all fine. The reality, they intentionally hide that the official counterintelligence findings contain 51 distinct references to Israel. That includes the GRU's Guccifer2 cyber persona being registered directly to an Israeli phone number. George Papadopoulos using his hosting by the Israeli government to attempt to broker a Putin-Trump summit, and Israel private intelligence firms like Psy Group Psy Group is WikiLeaks. Psy Group advancing advanced algorithmic social media manipulation to Donald Trump Jr. inside Trump Tower. And there's Tucker Carlson with Cambridge Analytica. Rebecca Mercer is on the board of Tucker Carlson LLC and his 27 staff. Bannon's inconvenient meeting with Alexander Dugin. Let's not talk about that. The Chabad-Lubavitch and Lev-Leviath pipeline. The words Chabad-Lubavitch and Lev-Leviath never cross their lips in any video ever. The reality, they enforce a total media blackout on the powerful transnational religious and financial network, right in with the Oxford group and Nathaniel Rothschild, ladies and gentlemen. Putin's boy, Baruch Lazar, head of Chabad, that acts as a literal physical courier between the Kremlin, diamond oligarchs like Lev-Leviath, and the Trump-Kushner real estate machine. Pax Silica and tech infiltration never cross their lips, ever. They talk about supply chain independence constantly, but completely ignore the narrative of deep foreign high-tech infrastructure compromise. They cannot criticize the Pax Silica framework or Trump's civil-military convergence because it forms the core of his economic policy. They stay silent on Benjamin Netanyahu openly traveling to Beijing to, quote, marry Israel's technology with China's capacity. And Israel transferring sensitive US military technology to China. They launder the corporate tech takeover by globalist billionaires Musk, Jensen Huang, Thiel, as Hamiltonian victory, forcing their base to celebrate the very automated AI and drone surveillance infrastructure that terrifies them. Because it certainly terrifies me. Like I said, could be an absolute blessing, or it will be Satan himself. It will be up to the American people. But the American people can't involved in politics if they don't know about it, because Promethean Action Group ain't going to say a damn word. And we're sitting on 2,000 views. The conspiracy censorship of Chris Bollin's 9/11 research. They completely censor the name and extensive research of investigative journalist Chris Bollin regarding the 2001 terror attacks. Bollin's work tracks how foreign integrated tech firms and intelligence-compromised data systems held the digital keys to Western security infrastructure leading up to 9/11. Promethea cannot allow their audience to see this historical pattern because it proves that partnering with globalist tech oligarchs to automate critical national infrastructure is a dystopian national security trap. It might well be. The Promethean Action Group does not look at information to find the objective truth. They function as perception managers running a profitable echo chamber, indeed, profitable for many, by wrapping their content in the high-minded historical dignity of Lincoln and Hamilton. They give the followers an elite intellectual excuse to stay blind to the hyper-integrated multinational corporate machine that actually runs the global technocracy. I think that's a very good summary. I filled all day, I've been at this, filling in data, looking at transcripts, finding key words. I really hope this helps you a little bit understand this network and how vital it is to start making these people nervous. That the traitor is not Mike Pompeo, and there's plenty to criticize Mike Pompeo for. Plenty. But let me tell you, if you want to talk treachery, let's talk Donald Trump. If you want to talk treachery, let's talk Chabad-Lubavitch, Howard Lutnick. You want to talk treachery, let's talk Jared Kushner, Chabad-Lubavitch, Gary Cohn, Goldman Sachs, and as Kissinger said, it's a war between the Jews and the non-Jews. You want to talk about all this stuff they have just stared aside as if it doesn't exist. All the London little trench networks going in. Or the fact that MI5 and MI6 have been going after the City of London and all those bank accounts of Russian Jewish oligarchs, or the Israeli organised crime, and the Israeli press and the Israeli national security apparatus actually liaising with the US to send some of them to jail and confiscate their monies. They're not going to talk about any of that, anytime, anywhere soon. There is a basic narrative inside this Promethean action group that does resonate. And there is some truth in there. But they're not going to tell you about, specific details like, I don't know, senior executive service. Even Steve Bannon said about that. Bannon himself has come out swinging, but now he's just dead and gone, quiet as a mouse. This is all Heritage Foundation, tuning and managing and curating narratives, much to our detriment. There are many good things to say about, there's nothing good to say about Donald Trump. Nothing. Emanuel, his agent for 20 years. High-level Israel intelligence. Rahm Emanuel. You will not hear their names mentioned by anyone, anywhere, anytime. The man who owns the UFC, owns the World Wrestling Federation, owns Joe Rogan, owns Alex Jones, the Bronfman links, all of it. How can we look past this? We cannot look past this. We cannot have a republic and the lighthouse on the hill, of which our only hopes for freedom lie in the US military and policing and intelligence community. That is our only hope. And we cannot leave it in the hands of an orange, stinking, half-witted clown who makes sexual innuendos about his daughter, highly compromised with Eastern Bloc prostitutes bought for him by Jeffrey Epstein, hanging out with every unknown sycophant, disgusting pedophile in the Epstein files. Whether there is one himself remains to be seen. But his behaviour is just out there. They certainly all love those young women, don't they? But you're going to go after Mike Pompeo? Are you kidding me? The Trump administration, not Donald Trump, has done some very good things. Certainly taking over globalist Iran, which I assure you, good old Promethean Action Group ain't going to tell you about Rouhani and Zarif and Chatham House and John Kerry and their kids are US citizens and Rouhani's back and forth to London with Lord Rothschild and Jack Straw and Lord Levi. Oh, no. These are the intellectual powerhouses and their nice big group of intellectual grifters. At some stage, it's just not about them making money. It's about the ramifications of a place where lying through your teeth and trying to get me to lie through my teeth with you, people are going to find out. And they're not going to be able to spin their little narratives the way they want them. And I can at least be here doing my small part to remind people of just what these people are about. And the stinking audacity to come to me and think I would join you in worshipping that stinking clown and little crypto rich man who says Trump is a, quote, piece of shit. But boy, all your friends are just singing his praises, bro. At some stage, the truth matters, and to see Mary Silva out in the wilderness, all trying to groom her, and she ain't budging a millimeter, to see that clown 2-3 nights ago drinking his wine, I think it was Friday night, trying to tell her in 2 years we see you making an impact. Almost a quote. See, I told you, they want us in the crowd. These things take time. These things are handled quietly. All these people that have approached me, highest levels, Pentagon, State Department, US intelligence, SOCOM, JSOC, Australian intel, people in the military, special forces, James McMahon, Colonel retired, all of that stuff, invited out with Jesuits from Australia, not killed, invited out. Just these things are handled quietly, they told me. Couple of years, Mary, they said. Really? And when she said 9/11, you remember this. You remember this when Mary Silva confronted that guy across the table and said, I've never shut it up. I want paper ballots, audit of the Pentagon, COVID justice, Wall Street justice, and above all, 9/11. And he shot back. He didn't say, you crazy woman, that was 19 Arab objects. He says, oh, they have nukes, meaning Israel. Can you not see? They have to address the issue. Push it. Night and day. Chris Berlin, Israel did 9/11 with a bunch of other people. It's the City of London network. Remember, the Israeli Mossad was warning. French intelligence was warning. German intelligence was warning. And British intelligence was warning. Yet those same countries were also all involved in setting up 9/11. It's the City of London Rothschild network, just like Victor Rothschild exposed by good old Peter Wright spycatcher all those years ago. Half the British establishment are Soviet assets and nothing has changed. And if people like the Promethean Action Group with nearly 700,000 alleged subscribers, but let's see how many they paid for with their friends. Maybe Alex Craner and Putin paid for it. That's why they're very silent on Putin. Calling Mike Pompeo a traitor, Mike Pompeo, that stinking, filthy orange clown, may he rot in hell. And the day I hear he's got a bullet in his head or he's fallen down some stairs is a day I'll be very happy. He's a stinking, rotten clown, along with that other stinking pedophile Hunter Crack Biden, along with that other piece of corrupt garbage Newscomb, and that other corrupt garbage Pelosi, the whole stinking lot of them. Is there one good man in Sodom, Lord? I doubt it. But let me tell you, the biggest stinking clown is that orange clown right there. And anyone that pushes him relentlessly is another piece of garbage. And there needs to be a reckoning. Just like the Stasi and their criminal informants, there was a reckoning. There will be a reckoning in the United States. Men and women of America, you are our last hope. Either we get mean and nasty and start letting these people know. We will not tolerate your half-baked bullshit. Ever. Who did 9/11? What is Pax Silica? Who runs the water, the electrical, and the oil and gas pipelines? Red Group, Israel. Wall Street 2008 justice, the drug money laundering, the corrupt courts. Where's the paper ballots? Where's the COVID vax justice? Your limited hangout bullshit RFK heroin addict piece of stinking garbage. You vile stinking pieces of garbage. Every last one of them. Thomas Massey, what's he ever done for America? Ask him who did 9/11. That's all you need to know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with a real patriot, the great Bill Cooper, lest we forget.
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.